2025 has set a new record. More Americans now have passports than ever before. Airlines are making billions of dollars in profit. Even though tickets are very expensive, they are sold out months in advance. But if you visit an airport in October, you'll be shocked. There are no long check-in lines and no loud boarding calls. You won't even see the usual happy faces of travelers. Because of the government shutdown, airports became very quiet. Passenger numbers dropped by 30 to 40% in many places. Some control towers, like the one in Burbank, even had to close. For the world's largest flying industry, this is unbelievable. A country famous for flying suddenly cannot keep its planes in the air. This is not just a small or short problem. It is a serious warning about the future of American travel. Imagine walking into Denver Airport on a Monday morning. It once welcomed almost 200,000 people every day. You could hear constant boarding calls and see luggage everywhere. Now it is completely silent and almost empty. No noise, no movement, only the sound of your own footsteps. This is not a movie scene or a dream. This is real America in October 2025. The cause is not a disaster or pandemic. It is a system failure caused by a government shutdown. Thousands of air traffic controllers had to stay home without pay. TSA workers were also reduced, making security checks twice as slow. Without enough staff, flights were delayed or canceled in large numbers. Some small airports lost 40% of their flights in 2 months. In Burbank, California, the control tower closed for several hours. That had not happened since the attacks of September 11, 2001. It was like a giant clock that suddenly stopped working. Airports are more than buildings where planes take off. They are the heart of America's travel and business system. When airports slow down, everything in the country slows down. Deliveries are delayed, families cannot meet, and tourism suffers. A family in Montana had to drive 9 hours to fly. A businessman lost $1 million deal because his flight was canceled. These are not small stories but signs of a weak economy. It is strange that America can send rockets to Mars. But it cannot send a Boeing from New York to Chicago on time. Every empty airport seat tells a human story. Every canceled flight represents lost time and lost memories. A grandfather could not see his newborn granddaughter in Texas. A young couple canceled their honeymoon because no flights were available. Millions of Americans had to change plans because of closed airports. When airports stop working, the whole system starts to collapse. If this continues, supply chains and businesses will also slow down. Is this just a temporary problem or the end of an era? Now something even scarier is happening in the sky. Flights still exist, but not everyone can afford them anymore. Do you remember flying from New York to Miami for $69? Those days are gone and may never return. A flight that once cost less than dinner now feels like luxury. In 2025, flight prices increased by over 22%. A round trip from New York to Los Angeles costs more than $450 now. Last-minute tickets can reach $600 or more. Fuel prices, parts, and maintenance have all become expensive. Many pilots are retiring, so airlines pay higher salaries to keep them. To recover these costs, ticket prices are raised again and again. Airlines are also cutting cheap routes with little profit. They now focus on expensive business and first-class passengers. Cheap flights did not disappear because people stopped flying. They disappeared because airlines stopped offering them at low prices. This change hurts normal American families the most. A family in Ohio canceled their Florida vacation after 5 years. A student took a 40-hour bus ride home to save money. Before the pandemic, people used to fly 2 or 3 times a year. Now, many can only afford to fly once every few years. Flying has become a financial decision, not a simple choice. We live in a world where coffee arrives in 15 minutes. But visiting your mother in another state takes weeks of planning. Air travel is still a huge business in America. But fewer people can actually be a part of it now. High prices don't just stop spending, they change how people live. Families meet less often and companies reduce travel for workers. A country once connected by the sky is now divided by ticket prices. When flying becomes a luxury instead of a basic need, what happens next? What about towns that airlines no longer find profitable to visit? Even if you have money, many towns no longer have flights. Between 2019 and 2025, more than 100 small airports shut down. They once had busy terminals, luggage, and taxi lines outside. Now they are silent with empty halls and dusty information screens. The Essential Air Service program was meant to keep small towns connected. But after the 2025 shutdown, it started losing funds and support. Without help, dozens of small airports could close completely soon. When small airports die, jobs and opportunities disappear with them. These towns lose business, connection, and hope for the future. The empty airports of 2025 are more than canceled flights. They are a warning of deeper problems inside the system. Rising costs, old workers, and political fights have slowed everything down. America was once proud of its freedom and movement. The open road and open sky were part of its identity. But now that sky is slowly closing, one airport at a time. The truth is, aviation is not a public service. It is a business. When things become expensive, airlines stop what does not make money. Flights to small towns with fewer passengers are too costly to run. So, many small airports are closing. Big hubs are growing where one plane can carry hundreds of people. When government support becomes weak, airlines stop small routes. If your town is not profitable, it disappears from the flight map. This is not only about traveling farther to reach the airport. It changes how people live, work, and even get medical care. In Alaska, some people pay more than $600 for one flight to a hospital. A town in South Dakota lost flights after 70 years. Locals joke that the airport exists, but no planes stop there anymore. Small businesses in the Midwest are losing customers. Their partners cannot reach them easily. Some companies have even moved away, taking jobs and tax money. The gap between big cities and small towns is not just about distance. It is about access and connection to the world. America once believed in free movement for everyone. Now, hundreds of communities feel stranded and forgotten. You can order food from thousands of miles away. But you cannot catch a flight to a nearby town. This is not just an airport issue. It shows how society is slowly breaking apart. Places worth investing in keep moving forward. Others are being left behind. As flight paths disappear, one question remains. Can rural and urban America still be connected? Or is the sky now only for those who can afford it? Now let's look at another problem: class divide in the air. On the same plane, rich people relax in comfort. Poor passengers try to fit socks into bags to avoid luggage fees. Air travel once felt equal for everyone. All passengers sat in the same cabin. Now, that equality is gone. Airplanes have become a mirror of society. They show the growing gap between rich and poor. Premium class income grows by 18% every year. Economy class only grows by 3%. Some airlines have removed basic economy seats. Not because they are full, but because they are not profitable. Ticket prices keep rising. Things that were once free now cost extra, like meals and seat choice. The plane is now like a small version of society. The front drinks wine. The middle fights for legroom. The back fights for armrests. Business class makes 5 to 7 times more profit than economy. After the pandemic, rich people pay more for comfort and privacy. Airlines now focus on profit, not on passengers. The sky now serves only those who can pay more. The sky is not shrinking. It is just moving higher, out of reach for many. For most Americans, flying has become a luxury. A retired man in Florida spends 20% of his income to visit grandkids. A single mother in Texas canceled her trip due to luggage and seat fees. In business class, people drink champagne and ride private cars to planes. Under the same sky, two different worlds exist. Aviation was once a bridge for everyone. Now, it feels like a private club. They say anyone can chase the American dream. But now, even airplane seats have income limits. This is not just about flying. It is about opportunity. The rich can travel, make deals, and explore. The poor can only watch on TV. Distance is no longer measured in miles. It is measured by how often you can afford to fly. When people stop flying, their choices and futures change. Flying used to be simple and affordable. A few $100s could take you across the country. But in 2025, that dream is fading. People are not flying less because they do not want to. They cannot afford it anymore. Only 47% of Americans plan to fly this year, the lowest in 10 years. Two-thirds no longer see airplanes as their main travel choice. Even among young people, 40% say flying is not worth it. Ticket prices are high. Flights are fewer. Travel has become stressful. People now prefer road trips instead. Cars, trains, and buses are replacing airplanes. Many choose to explore their own states instead of flying. Some think staying home is smarter. They save money instead of spending on trips. After years of delays and high prices, flying feels tiring. A family in Kansas drives 28 hours to California to save money. Students in Texas go on road trips because flights cost too much. Many teenagers have never left their home state. This is more than a travel change. It is a change in mindset. When people stop exploring, their world becomes smaller. In the past, Americans dreamed of flying across continents. Now, they just dream of affording gas for a weekend trip. The sky is still blue and open. But for millions, it feels out of reach. When people stop flying, career chances fade. Cultural exchange slows. Connection between regions weakens. The American dream was once about freedom and movement. Now, it stays limited within a few hundred miles. But maybe this is not the end of travel. Maybe it is changing into something new. From empty airports to high ticket prices, from lost towns to class divide, America's journey has changed. Flying once meant freedom and hope. Now, in empty airports, it feels like a memory. The American dream is no longer in the clouds. It starts with a choice. Will you stay, or will you still try to fly? Maybe the real question is simple. Can everyone still afford to move freely? Or has mobility become a privilege for the few? What about you? Do you still see flying as normal? Or do you think twice before booking a flight? Share your story in the comments. Your words might help others think about how they travel. If this video made you think, like and share it. Subscribe for more stories about our changing world. The dream of flying is worth talking about. Not just for nostalgia, but to understand what freedom really means today.